Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Tiffany Hall, and this is our April BIA Code Pudding live stream. If we have not met before, hello again. I'm an alumni of TripleTen Software Engineering Program. I'm a full stack engineer, and I'm a product owner at Scholastic Inc., the world's largest publisher of children's books and a powerhouse in the digital education space as well. Tonight is one of the favorite things I get to do, which is be a host of the different code puddings and code jams that we have here at TripleTen. So it's really exciting. We're having this one on the weekend, so I'm really excited to see how many of you are able to join. Thank you so much. I very much enjoy these programs, specifically these competitions, because they're really wonderful at uniting all of our students from the programs all over the US. Today, we have our business intelligence analytics students from all over the country. If you're not sure what a code pudding is, let me give you a moment to tell you. So we have these super short competitions that are very friendly. And by friendly, they're not. They're cutthroat and totally devious. And I think somebody's already lost an ear, but we're going to carry on. So we give our students a prompt and then they work with their teams or solo so that they can compete against each other to have the best, in this case, the best work on the data, the best storytelling, the best way of helping people who don't understand data every day make meaning of the black and white dots on the screen, right? So it's a lot like they are putting in the work on the data. Code pudding. Okay. So we have two parts. We have the presentation part, which is tonight, and you're going to get to see the second part, which is all of the work with the data that they have been doing. So in the last week, our participants were divided into teams, and we challenged them to collaboratively create visual essays using provided data sets. And our teams only had 5 days to make their projects. In the next week, the teams today are going to show off their projects, and the next week, the judges are going to review them, and they will be evaluating on the data and the presentation. The results are going to be posted on all of our socials and in our Discord channel for our students on May 10th. All of our students and viewers watching us on YouTube, hello, can vote for their favorite project during the course of the next week and during this presentation by writing the name of the team that they are voting for either in the comments or the live chat below, or you can pay attention in the Discord channel if you're a student of ours. The winners of the audience award will receive a special prize from TripleTen. I will do my best to make sure Sharkbait puts a piece of cheese in there or his favorite little stuffed mouse. So remember, write the name of your favorite team below. And other than that, we have 6 teams today. So very exciting. We are going to have a mixture today of pre-recorded and live presentations. So the first one that we are going to have is the Snooze Analyst team. And the Snooze Analyst team consists of Jessica Cunningham, Barakat Wim and then Sakina Jassine. I will go ahead and share their presentation now. Theirs will be pre-recorded.
Hi everyone, my name is Barakat, along with my group mates Jess and Sakina. We are the analysts. For this project, we analyzed a data set on sleep health and lifestyle to explore how factors like stress, BMI, and occupation impact sleep. We wanted to tell a story that explores patterns in sleep quality and duration across different groups to uncover what truly affects how well we snooze. Sleep is a vital component of physical and mental health. Yes, its quality and duration are influenced by a complex mix of lifestyle, demographic, and psychological factors. This analysis explores how variables such as stress level, BMI, physical activity, occupation, and gender affects sleep health. using a dataset of 374 individuals aged between 27 and 59. We investigated the relationship between sleep duration, sleep quality, and key lifestyle characteristics. Now I'll be walking you through a brief analysis exploring how stress level impact both the duration and quality of sleep, as well as the relationship between sleep quantity and satisfaction. Let's begin with the first chart, which displays a clear negative correlation between stress level and sleep duration. As the stress level increases, the amount of sleep individuals report decreases. For example, those with a stress level of 3 average around 8 hours of sleep, whereas those with a stress level of 8 get closer to 6 hours of sleep. The downward trend line visually reinforces this relationship, suggesting that higher stress disrupts our ability to maintain sufficient rest. The second chart follows a similar pattern, this time focusing on sleep quality. Again, we see a negative correlation. Individuals with lower stress levels report better sleep quality. At a stress level of 3, average sleep quality scores are close to 9, but that drops to around 5 at a stress level of 8. This highlights that stress doesn't just reduce the amount of sleep, it also affects how stressful or satisfying that sleep is. For my final visualization, presents a positive correlation between sleep duration and sleep quality. As people sleep longer, they tend to rate their sleep quality higher. Most of the data clusters between 6 to 8 hours of sleep, with quality scores between 5 and 9. And the upward trend line confirms that more sleep often means better sleep. And for the next slides, my group mate Jess will take it from here. And thank you very much.
Hi, I'm going to be looking at occupation, sleep disorders, and key health metrics like blood pressure and heart rate and their connections to sleep. First, does occupation impact sleep and stress? Yes. Engineers are reporting the longest sleep duration and highest quality, while sales representatives are on the opposite end and reporting the highest stress levels. Gender also plays a role. We see female participants generally reporting longer and better quality of sleep. Interestingly, when we filter for the male participants, we see that the career that gets the better quality of sleep shifts over time. Next, I looked at the sleep disorders and their impact. Unsurprisingly, people without reported disorders get slightly more sleep and have lower stress levels. However, the overall ranges are very close. The more striking differences appear when we're looking at the male participants to the female participants. Age was crucial here. Stress levels drop significantly for middle-aged individuals without disorders while remaining high for all other categories. And we saw an interesting dip when looking at the shift when looking at middle-aged men, where respondents with sleep apnea reported higher levels of sleep, which you can see here. Regarding blood pressure, while there might be visual hints of a connection between sleep and stress levels, the current data isn't conclusive. We can see some patterns, but more investigation is needed. Similarly, with heart rate, kind of the same thing. We observe a trend that the longer you sleep and the better quality of sleep, your resting heart rate is going to be on the lower side of normal. But we need more focused analysis to confirm the relationship and if there's a potential link.
Hi, my name is Sakina with the Snooze Analyst, and my portion of this analysis consisted of comparing the effect of BMI and physical activity on sleep. Let's start here with the average sleep for males and females. We can see that females do sleep on a slightly higher average than males do. And we are now comparing our BMIs across males and females, and we can see that males are reporting more in the normal range, whereas we have females reporting more in the overweight range. Over here, we have our average daily steps. and our average physical activity in comparison to our BMI categories. And we can clearly see that within the normal and overweight range are reporting a higher physical activity than those that are in the obese range. Now, tying this all into our sleep, which is the most important part, over here we have our average sleep duration and we have our normal range, obese, and overweight. Clearly, we can see over here that those within the normal BMI range are reporting more sleep than those in the other ranges, and quality over quantity, right? So over here we can see that those in the normal BMI range again are reporting better quality of sleep. Those in the obese and overweight range do have a significantly lower amount of average quality of sleep. Over here is our line chart with our trend lines that clearly indicates to us the comparison of physical activity and daily steps and how it affects the quality of your sleep. What I do find important to note is that there is something with our data in which there is, within our middle age adult range, we see that there is a reversal in the quality of sleep. But I do have to note that this has to do more with females than it does with males, because the males do not report such a reversal as females do with our middle age adults. In conclusion, stress is the strongest disruptor of sleep health. The higher the stress, the worse your sleep quality. Occupation does have an impact on a person's sleep, where we have seen that engineers do report the better sleep outcomes, while our sales rep have the most stress and the poorest sleep. Individuals with higher BMI categories have reported significantly lower sleep quality, even if their sleep duration is similar. We're also seeing hidden gender and age revealed trends. So, for example, we have our middle aged women, which showed a unique reversal where their higher physical activity was linked to lower sleep quality. Overall, lifestyle factors don't affect everyone the same way, highlighting the need for personalized wellness approaches. Our recommendations would be to support stress reduction, personalize sleep health, promote sleep education, encourage healthy lifestyles, and to study blood pressure, heart rate, and sleep even further. We do hope that you enjoy this analysis as much as we enjoyed creating it. Our teamwork was smooth and collaborative, with Baraket focusing on stress, Jess on occupation and gender, and me on BMI and physical activity. We all have young kids, full-time jobs, which really helped us to understand each other's busy schedules and stay flexible while meeting our deadlines. We're proud of how we combine our different angles into one clear story, and we would love to keep exploring deeper health trends, especially around sleep.
All right. That was fantastic. I certainly don't know about many of you that are on the call with me right now, but I can tell you that before I was an engineer, I was a teacher and I slept horribly. And now that I do engineering all day, my number one goal is to sleep. I like it's my job, eyes closed and like get to work kind of a thing. I think it has nothing to do with my activity level, but mostly just because my brain is full. All right. So that team, thank you so very much. That team was the snooze analysts, and that was Jessica Cunningham, Barakat Winmigan, and then Sakina Jassim. Our next team is also pre-recorded, and that is Nimri, which is sleepy in Japanese, and that is Jana Gomez, Carl Lane, and James Johnston. Let me get theirs queued up for everyone. Hmm. Oh, there we go. Come on, internet gods. You can do it. All right, let me get it there. Okay, the curse continues, so I can't get that one up and playing. So I'm going to try and come back to them a little later. Let's go ahead and move on while I work through those technical difficulties. And let's go to the remote control group. And so that group is going to be Brittany Krogsty, excuse me, Jonathan Wetter, and Shivang Shah.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Shivang Shah. My teammates here, Jonathan Wetter and Brittany Krogsty. So we decided to select the remote work and mental health data set for its immediate relevancy for everyone here, ourselves included, especially considering the last 4 to 5 years where remote work has gotten a little bit more popular. So this data surveyed a population of 5,000 professionals with various aspects of working from home versus working in the office. So we decided to dig into the following topics and kind of look at those because they kind of offered the most to analyze. So that was stress, social isolation, physical activity, existing mental health issues, work location, obviously working from home, working from office or hybrid, gender, work-life balance, global region, and professional industry. Now, this does seem like it's a lot of different topics to go over, but they definitely coincided and intertwined throughout our analysis. At the start, we decided we didn't want to answer a very specific leading question about how working from home was helping or hurting people. Instead, we kind of just wanted to let the data speak for itself. So, without further ado, let's get on to the analysis. So to start off, physical activity and mental health. So this is a general breakdown with no other filters added onto the data. But now if we go over here to the right, so we have work location and we have the mental health condition as the filters, along with population count. And now if we look at the left side, we have the two major categories, physical activity, mental health condition. The mental health condition has a few subcategories of anxiety, burnout, depression, and no mental health condition. And then we have three physical activity categories of daily physical activity, no physical activity, and weekly physical activity. So how does this data kind of coincide and come into what our major point is, right? So our major point is how it works with mental health and remote work. So now if we look at the workers who are working remote, the analysis came to show that there were some individuals who had more anxiety while they were working out on a daily basis, or even if they were working out on a weekly basis. It looked like less individuals had anxiety when they weren't working out at all. And like the more basis of this analysis, the reason we chose to analyze this aspect along with many others in the data set is because physical activity has a play on mental health. So it's interesting to see that these numbers kind of came out the way they did, especially with remote work, given that people have a little bit of more time to kind of go ahead and get some exercise in. So then if we look over here and change the filter to on-site and we look at the numbers for on-site, we're seeing quite a few different numbers. Now we look at burnout and anxiety for those who are getting physical activity weekly. Those are a little bit higher there. Burnout for people who are not getting physical activity at all, the numbers are a little bit higher there as well. And then if we go to the last part of the filter with hybrid, then we see the numbers are a little bit more green all across the board, except for anxiety again on a weekly basis. So kind of going back to my earlier point, it looks like physical activity relating to mental health conditions stayed fairly similar in all aspects of work location, whether individuals are working from home or in office. So, again, this is why I want to reiterate that we did not want to answer a very specific leading question about how working from home was helping or hurting people. The data just showed very low variance. So now I'm going to go ahead and pass it along to Brittany, and she's going to discuss more with stress and social isolation.
Hi. So let's. sorry. So we looked at the different mental health conditions versus the stress levels that they have, high, medium, or low. And we also compared social isolation, which we assumed that 1 meant they were least socialized and 5 meant that they were the most socialized. We noticed very similar ratings all across the board for all of the stress levels. And so if we want to take a look at just remote workers, we noticed that they had a higher stress level across the board. And then if we looked at on-site workers, they had a lower stress level, and hybrid was in the middle of the two. And then when we went in and looked at just the ones who claimed they had least socialization, we see that they actually had a lower stress level on the on-site, with burnout having the most amount of people. And if we move over to remote, it shows that they actually had a higher stress level in the ones who had no mental health conditions. And if we changed it over to those that we assumed had the highest socialization, we see that remote had higher stress levels, and on-site also had higher stress levels. So it was just higher overall. So I'm going to pass it over to Jonathan now, who took a look at gender and the work condition.
Great, thank you. So yeah, I wanted to look at how gender kind of played out and how it played out globally between different regions. So this was broken up by continent. And so looking at all regions, all work locations, you can kind of see with this graph the distance between the disparity between men and women, and how they feel that their work-life balance was. The higher up on the chart, the more they felt that they had a work-life balance, the lower, the worse their work-life balance. So if we look at remote work, we can see that in South America, there's a pretty big disparity. Africa, Europe looks a little bit more even. But if you switch it to on-site, all of a sudden you have significantly different numbers. North America, men feel that they have a lot less work-life balance than they did if they were remote. Women feel that they have a lot more. South America in general does not feel very good about its work-life balance, period, between men or women. And so I just thought that it was interesting to kind of see how those played out. And if there was more time, I definitely wanted to kind of dig in and see if there was any cultural differences or what kind of might be leading to those discrepancies that we're seeing between the genders. But there's another kind of way to look at this data. So this is the work-life balance as we look at it across a region. I took gender out of it. When we started digging into the data, we thought that there was something wrong with us or something wrong with how we were analyzing the data. It was all coming out even across the board. Every category, every slice that we made, everything was just even. And it was hard to get footing or to find any sort of nugget of information anywhere. We weren't quite sure where to go with it. And so the deeper that we dug, we realized, I'm sorry, there's sirens in the back. I don't know if it's, okay. As we dug into it, we found out that this was AI generated. And so this was actually not real life data, and I don't even know if it based it on any real models. It just sort of was a simulation of what might happen, and it didn't really do a very good job of creating this data. So it just kind of evenly spread all of the data across all of the different categories. So when we found that out, we felt a lot better about how we cleaned the data. We realized we didn't make a mistake. It just was really strange data to work with. So with that, I'm going to let Brittany take us through the conclusion.
So, in conclusion, we would not recommend using this data set to inform decisions. It was a great exercise for us to push ourselves to try to find the differences between the variables, but they were just too similar overall to seem realistic. One thing that we did want to mention as a group is that if you, a coworker, or a loved one are experiencing a mental health issue, suicide, or substance abuse, or anything like that, you can reach out 24/7 to 988, sorry, which is the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. So thank you for our listening to our presentation from the remote control group.
That was the biggest plot twist of this entire live stream. I did not see that coming. Yeah, well done, well done. And great figuring out what the problem was with your data. I think that is the toughest part. Okay, so let's talk for a minute about just kind of the process of the code pudding. Was this all y'all's first time? Have some of you all done this before?
This was my second
Okay.
code pudding.
It was
I did
my
one.
first.
All right,
sorry,
Jonathan, you're first. Brittany, you're second. All right, so let's see. Brittany, I'll start with you. How was your second time going around?
I loved this time around. I liked the first time around too, but this time just seemed to go much smoother. My teammates were great. I loved working with them. We each of us are in a different time zone, but we were still able to work out, being able to work with each other's schedules and time zone disparities. And so it was great. I loved working with these guys.
Fantastic. Jonathan, how was it as your first time?
It was great. It was definitely a whirlwind 5 days. It was a lot to do. But like Brittany said, Shiv and Brittany made it a really kind of easy experience, and I think made it as pleasant as could be. I had a really good time.
Fantastic. And Shiv, what was something that you really enjoyed about the project itself? Like having, going through kind of the coursework and putting it into real life practice. Did you have any favorite pieces now?
So coming to this project, I actually just began Sprint 7, so the final
Okay.
project. And when I started this code putting, I didn't really know, how it was going to go about, what it was going to be like, how the data sets would look. And when me, Jonathan, and Brittany started diving in, we started realizing, okay, this data looks very, very like put together. But we all kind of came to a good conclusion saying, like, hey, look, like that's not always a bad thing. We don't have to have a definitive answer for this. We can try to show that maybe remote work and on-site work, maybe there's no real difference, like maybe there is in other aspects, but maybe in mental health specifically, there couldn't be, at least regarding to this data set. And I think it was interesting to see that we were able to work through that as a team. As they
Yeah.
both mentioned, working with Jonathan and Brittany and myself, and that my first code putting was a great experience, So
Right.
with groups in the past, obviously in high school, college, and everything, and this was a good experience added along to that.
Yeah, I like to say this is kind of like the way that the education gods repay you for your patience in middle school and high school when you're in those team projects, because those can be brutal, right?
Now we're all mature though, no older, so we know our part.
Yeah, it helps. It does.
Yeah.
Well, you guys definitely have some fans in the YouTube channel. In the chat, you have lots of Go Team remote controls and wonderful jobs. So it sounds like you guys have a really great support group afar as well. All right. Well, I am floored at your data revelation here. And I'm really glad that you brought it up. I think it's something that, you guys brought up a great point. The idea of the code puddings themselves is to try and give students the opportunity to practice things they've been learning. So yes, totally wonderful opportunity, but also I think a really great moment to highlight the intuition that you've all had of like, this doesn't look right. Yeah. Something's wrong. So I think that's really great to see that you guys got an opportunity for that too. All right, so that is the remote control group with Brittany Krogsty, Jonathan Wetter, and Siobhan Shah. All right, thank you so much. And now I'm going to go back to the Nimue team. I was able to get it up and working. And so we're all going to hold our breath and hope that I don't mess it up trying it again. All right, here we go. So this team, just to remind everybody, this team is Jana Gomez, Carl Lang, and James Johnston.
Explore the sleep efficiency dataset. This dataset studies humanity's age-old nemesis, sleep. It utilizes information about a group of test subjects and their sleep patterns. We chose this dataset because of our experience with sleep studies and sleep disorders. When working with the data, our first question we wanted to explore was, what is sleep efficiency? Sleep efficiency is one of 4 key metrics that impact sleep quality and is the percentage of time an individual is actually asleep when trying to sleep. Time spent reading, watching TV, etc. is not included in that time. This visual from the National Sleep Foundation shows sleep efficiency and awakenings are part of defining sleep quality. Quality sleep is crucial for overall health and well-being, impacting physical and mental functions as well as reducing the risk of chronic health problems, thus making the 2 key metrics from our dataset, awakenings and sleep efficiency, key to managing your health. The major conclusion we are able to make from this dataset is that lifestyle choices affect sleep efficiency and awakenings more than any other metric. In this presentation, we'll focus on which factors affect awakenings and sleep efficiency. Let's get started with our first dashboard, sleep efficiency versus sleep metrics. Starting top left, we have the fields used for sleep metrics. This is any field we thought pertinent to the science of sleep. Then we have a few fun facts about our data set and real-world values. As I'm sure most of us are experiencing firsthand, the average person in this data set is falling short of good sleep efficiency. Our top right visual is a comparison between the sleep efficiency dimension and our sleep metrics. Starting with awakenings, we look at the trend value and see a very low p-value with a low r-squared value. So we have a strong statistically significant relationship between awakenings and sleep efficiency. However, awakenings alone cannot explain shifts in sleep efficiency and requires further exploration. Moving on to light sleep and deep sleep percentages, we see strong p-values and r-squared values. Both light and deep sleep show strong correlation to sleep efficiency and to each other. Anytime deep sleep percent goes up, light sleep percent goes down, and vice versa. And finally, REM sleep and average sleep duration have no correlation to sleep efficiency and need to be explored further. Bottom left, we start further exploration on awakenings. The first visual is awakenings versus light and deep sleep. As you can see, starting at 2 or less awakenings, we see a large decrease in light sleep percentage and a significant increase in deep sleep percentage. Awakenings affect the light sleep, deep sleep cycle, which in turn affects sleep efficiency. Looking at our real-world data, we can see 2 or less awakenings to be in line with those findings. Also, considering the average awakenings is a little high, a minor hypothesis is that this data set skews older. The final 2 visuals compare REM sleep and sleep duration to the remaining sleep metrics. Awakenings versus REM sleep have no correlation. Awakenings versus average sleep duration have no correlation. Deep sleep percent and light sleep percent also have no correlation to either of those metrics. This differs from real-world studies showing correlation to deep sleep for those 2 metrics. For the sake of clarity, we will exclude these metrics going forward. Next, CJ is going to explore how demographics affect our key metrics.
Hello, I'm CJ and I'm following up James's sleep efficiency study covering the gender bias in sleep, if there is some or if there's not. By the first 2 scatter plots, I show the age and time the IDs or the people in the study both went to bed on the left and woke up in the morning on the right. As you can see, we added trend lines just to see if there was any correlation, if there were any outliers, things like that, and any call outs really. As you can see, there's no real huge correlation between bedtime and average awakenings and average sleep efficiency or wake up time. As you can see, the more you wake up, the worse you sleep. James just covered that as well. The only call out is that there's a slight variation on the 11 o'clock bedtime on the left, that very bottom line, but it's within the standard. it's negligible is what we found. And the same thing on the wake up times. If you go down to sleep efficiency versus gender, we've got females versus males with average awakening, average sleep efficiency, average light sleep percentage, and average deep sleep percentage. And as you can see, there is no huge difference between anything. Everything is within a standard error. There's no huge call outs, there's no huge difference, there's no huge anything in regard to the difference between females and males. Now, my last graph right here in the bottom left, consumption versus gender using age, that is where you get differences, huge differences. As you can see, blue is female, orange is male, and there are huge peaks and valleys in this table. There are huge differences between male and female participants of the same age. So only by combining gender with age or gender with something else does it become a data point that we can use. Right now, from what we've covered, we can get rid of and not use as a distinguishable point wake up time, bedtime, and gender. It's only when you combine gender with something else that we get results like this. The gender and age is what causes these huge peaks and valleys in regard to alcohol consumption, caffeine consumption, and exercise frequency. Jana is going to cover a little bit deeper into the exercise frequency and things like that as she goes into her dashboard. But as you can see, this is what our studies have shown so far. Thank you.
We also examine lifestyle behaviors on a broader spectrum, specifically the impacts of exercise, alcohol consumption, caffeine intake, and smoking status on sleep efficiency, awakenings, and percent of deep sleep. Starting with exercise, our analysis reveals that increased exercise frequency is positively correlated with higher sleep efficiency, shown in the top left chart, and fewer awakenings during the night, displayed in the bottom left scatter plot. The green bar chart on the right side shows increased frequency of exercise is associated with a greater percentage of deep sleep. This can be filtered to explore how deep sleep percentages vary with exercise frequency. When examining smoking, we found that non-smokers average more deep sleep, but only by approximately 7%. The visuals on the right show no significant difference in awakenings or sleep efficiency by smoking status. When examining alcohol impacts, we found higher alcohol consumption is linked to lower sleep efficiency and more frequent awakenings, as shown in the scatter plots on the left side of the dashboard. The interactive purple bar chart on the right compares REM and deep sleep percentages, revealing a clear decline in both as alcohol intake rises, indicating a negative effect on the overall sleep quality. When analyzing caffeine consumption in sleep, it was found that there is no correlation with deep sleep, light sleep, and sleep efficiency. But notice the purple scatter plot on the bottom right does indicate a correlation. So higher caffeine intake shows fewer awakenings. Future research should aim to include clinically relevant variables such as diagnosed sleep disorders, quantified stress levels, and larger pool of individuals with more variety of ages. So in conclusion, awakenings help explain the why behind variations in sleep efficiency by disrupting the balance between deep and light sleep. Since deep sleep and REM are the MVPs of rest and recovery, lifestyle habits do matter. Gender alone is a negligible factor, but when combined with other variables, it provides clearer insights into sleep efficiency, deep sleep, and REM sleep. Regular exercise and less alcohol support sleep quality. Meanwhile, caffeine and smoking didn't show the same impact, but don't take that as a free pass.
All right. I love that they put that nice little disclaimer at the end because in the chat, all I wanted to type was things like that means all the caffeine. Because they so, but they put the disclaimer, so I guess I have to listen to doctors. Well, so much for that, but that's okay. It was a great presentation all the same. I really appreciated seeing all of the correlations between the bedtimes specifically. I'm not quite sure who is going to bed at 11 p.m. because 11 p.m. is like the middle of the night for me. But I don't know. Maybe it's somebody else. All right, so that just to remind everyone, that was Team Nemui, and that was Jana Gomez, Carl Lane, and James Johnston. And then our next group is Team Nap. I am all Team Nap. Team Nap with Hussein Ali and Naomi Vang. And I'm going to kick it to Hussein.
Do I start? Because Naomi did the pre-recording.
Okay, do you want me to do her part first?
Yes, because I'm
I
finishing.
sure can.
Yeah.
You bet. All right. Make sure I share again with the sound. All right.
Hi everyone, my name is Naomi and this is Hussein. We are Team Nap. Thank you for joining us for our bad sleep habits presentation. Sleep is foundational to a healthy, functioning body, and there are many benefits of healthy sleep, which is why Hussein and I were very interested in this data set. Healthy sleep is defined by 7 to 9 hours of sleep, at least 85% of that spent sleeping. REM and deep sleep make up 20 to 25% of that, and light sleep should make up 50 to 60% of that. Now we took this criteria and we ran it against our data set, and we found that everyone scored bad for the sleep quality. In other words, no one met their criteria. No one had enough sleep, or the sleep efficiency was off. Like, they just didn't meet every single item necessary to be rated for good sleep quality. So we wanted to ask the question, what influences bad sleep quality the most? Or what is the relationship between activities and sleep measures? We'll also be taking a look at what is the relationship these activities have to the time people go to bed. So just a little bit more background. The activity in our data set is defined as caffeine, measured in milligrams, alcohol measured in ounces, exercise by number of times people exercise weekly, and whether or not they were smoking. Sleep measure is defined as sleep efficiency measured in percentages, sleep duration measured in hours, REM, deep, and light sleep measured in percentages, and a number of awakenings. Just a quick side note, we removed some outliers in our data set, those who were younger than 15 years old and those who were 65 or years old or older. So our data set contains 430 participants. Right off the bat, I just want to say that smoking, which is an activity, has the weakest relationship to the sleep measures, is what we found in our data set. Now, sleep efficiency, we found that alcohol had the strongest relationship, meaning the people who drink more alcohol had lower sleep efficiency percentages. For sleep duration, we found that among the activities, not one of them had a strong relationship with sleep duration. Same with REM sleep. We found that they didn't have a strong relationship with REM sleep, but if we were to rate which one had the strongest, it would be maybe caffeine. And deep sleep, we found that alcohol had the strongest relationship. The more someone drank alcohol, the lower their deep sleep percentages were. And conversely with that, to kind of like equal it out to 100%, they reported higher, those same people who drink more alcohol reported higher light sleep percentages. Now, with a number of awakenings, people who exercise more reported lower number of awakenings, and exercise had the greatest relationship to awakenings based off these trend lines. So again, sleep efficiency, alcohol had the greatest relationship. Sleep duration, REM, no noticeable influences: deep sleep, alcohol again, greatest relationship; light sleep, alcohol again; and awakenings, it was exercise. So overall, alcohol wins. Alcohol shows the strongest relationship trend with the most sleep measures. Alcohol is just bad for sleep overall. And so I'll pass the mic on to Hussein now.
Hello there. Hey Tiffany, can you stop sharing? Because I end up adding one slide because I missed one from the presentation. So I'll share that on my end.
You
Thank
got it, sir.
you. So so my question and my data was trying to find how does the exercise, the bedtime sleep, and alcohol consumption with coffee affect sleep quality and overall bedtime sleep overall. So what I end up finding was that people that do alcohol caffeine intake with higher caffeine intake, and they end up sleeping bed too late. For example, we have this person went to bed at 9. They had a caffeine consumption of 43.42. This one went to sleep at midnight, past 30 minutes. The caffeine average was 30.71. The same thing here, went to bed to 11 p.m. and the caffeine consumption was 35.91. And for this one, it was all about the caffeine, the overall sleep quality and age. And I ended up finding that people age 25 to 34, they have overall bad sleep quality and of 35.68 than the people of the age between 55 to 64 with then with the 14.41, the lowest in terms of the quality of the sleep for on their own. And also this one, alcohol with bedtime hours. So I end up finding the intake alcohol consumption with these individuals, they tend to go to bed way late, and the alcohol consumption for this person was 1.629. The next one was 1.314, and and this one was 1.30. So it was really the higher the alcohol intake level, the longer these individuals went to bed. So, and depending on that, I end up finding that people age 55 to 63-year-old, overall, they have bad sleep quality. And it was 1.6780. Then the people of 35 to 44-year-old, they had the level of 0.943. So in overall, people age 55 to 64, they tend to drink more when they go to bed, maybe a wine tasting, for example. And another piece of information that I found was that people that tend to exercise 1.6 times a day or more to 2.25 have a better quality of sleep of 7 hours and a half. So in overall sleep, exercising more than twice a day and sleeping is good for you. So that's what I found in that one. So with recommendations, we end up putting in order for you to have a better quality of sleep, you need to stick to consistent sleeping schedule, creating a bedtime routine, so that maybe a meditation, stretching, or reading just an hour before bed, that will help you. And also limiting screen time, so that you can have just peace of mind for your sake. And also trying to limit alcohol usage probably 4 to 6 hours before bed, and also because that will also cause sleeping problems in the long term, sleep apnea. And also alcohol tends to interfere with the REM sleep and will cause so many awakenings in the morning, like like having headaches in the morning. And then if you're planning to take caffeine, take before noon. Otherwise, if you take too much caffeine, it will be in your system for 6 to 10 hours. And overall, other alternatives to alcohol and coffee is tea, milk, and some juice if you need to. And overall, try to go also outside for better vitamin D efficiency, and also to regulate your circadian rhythm. And also regular exercises will help. overall for better quality of sleep. And this was our sources that we researched. And yeah, so that's overall for us. We did find some interesting data. So yeah, thanks you guys. That was my time.
All right. Thank you so much. That was really great. Since you're here, I kind of wanted to ask, in terms of the data and like getting started, one of the questions that a lot of people ask when they start these code jams is like, how do they get started with their teammates? And so can you maybe tell us a little about how you and your teammate got started after I was like, great, here we go, here's all the information, and go.
So for me, once we did the intro on Friday last week, I did not do anything until the next day. And then that's when we decided to speak. And we were like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And Naomi started first, and then Brianna, who ended up not having a family emergency, dropped out. So we ended up doing Saturday morning. So Saturday morning is when we decided to go, this sounds interesting. Let's keep this. This doesn't sound interesting. Let's not keep that. And then for me, overall, I tend to the title of the project tend to really, have something that I can share. That tend to really sparks my energy and enthusiasm. So for me, because my sleep schedule and sleep everything is very rocky, I was like, let me see what this sleep schedule. I want to dive in more into the data and see what the patterns are, what the conditions are, and how can I improve my sleep quality in general. So me and Naomi we decided to vote for that, and we decided to stick to that. And so far, we did find the factors that tend to have the patterns and the conditions or overall sleep quality. How does that happen, and how can we improve it? So overall, the things that we shared and we found, it is something that we can improve on. So it's something that I tend to improve on daily, but I'm trying to manage because my sleep schedule is very rocky and it's very like troublesome. So I am struggling through it, but it was really incredible to find what are the factors and how can someone have a better quality of sleep. So overall it was very mindful, I'll say, for me.
Oh, that's really great to hear. Yeah, my big takeaway was less wine tastings.
Oh yeah. I struggle with that during the weekend. So it's really just up and down and fight and struggle. So it was really really knowledgeable and really alarming and just to improve because I do all those things. I tend to I'm a light sleeper. I tend to be awake during the night, so it's very challenging. But it was really informative, and I'm glad
so
we
glad
took.
that the project was able to help, kind of shine some light into some other things too, because, in order to have good brain power for all of the work that you guys are doing and all the data that you guys have to interpret, you got to have good sleep, right?
Oh yeah, and I did not. So it was really interesting and informative, and I'm glad I did that.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, well, that was Team Nap with Hussein Ali and then Naomi Vang. Our next group is Stress Less, and this one is a one-person team that is Abdul Johnson Royale, and this one is also pre-recorded. So this is our second to last one. After that, we will have the Wellness Wizards live with us. Let me go ahead and share, and I will get Abdul's project up and going.
Hello, everyone. My name is Abdul, and thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my presentation today. What you're about to see is really more than just a data project. It's a story that I'm proud to tell, one that's a little bit deeply personal, and I hope that it resonates with you too. It's called Stress Less, A Guide to the Hard Times, an analysis of mental health during the pandemic by myself, Abdul Johnson. First, we're going to start out with an introduction, a review of the data, a short little data set overview, then go into some of the visualizations that I analyzed and speak to why it's important to me and why I hope that it resonates with you as the audience. During the pandemic, I moved to New York City, a new place with a lot of unfamiliar faces, buildings, and people. I did not really know all that much. I just landed a job and wanted to experience something different. Then, yeah, COVID happened. It just kind of took its toll on things. And I'm sure we all remember the face mask, double face mask, underneath face mask with the shield and all those things, the ginormous things we wear in our face, like in the picture there. Having to think about washing our cereal boxes for putting them in the cabinets and just kind of going through day-to-day life, unsure of what's going to happen the next day. And I wanted this report to share a bit more of the emotional toll that it took on people during COVID. And I really like this project to be a bit more than just a data analyzation, but a mirror into the past and kind of a way to reflect on what we all experienced and use that as motivation to keep moving forward to positive times ahead. The data set I use includes 824 anonymous responses from people across the globe. It asked about mood swings, coping ability, time spent in isolation, and general mental health history. It captures a snapshot of the world really under pressure, from teenagers to professionals, everything in between, homemakers to students. And in that variety, I found something that felt very human and that created a sense of togetherness, which I hope that you feel in the conclusion of this presentation. This first data set talks about mood swings by age. When I saw this chart, it really reminded me of my own transition to New York City during the pandemic. I was a bit in the middle of the age brackets here. Those that were younger, 16 to 25, that's my age, reported the highest levels of medium mood swings. So I was in between, and those that were older might have had a bit more security, comfort, family, whatever, and a bit more of a structure to deal with these unexpected times. But when I saw this chart, it really connected to me because it made me remember the stress that I had during the pandemic and not being sure of what's safe to do, what's not. I'm going to get sick, make someone else sick, work, all these things, right? And when I see this chart, it just makes me really like grateful to have overcame that. And it just really puts into perspective how regardless of age, older or younger, we all went through the same struggles and we all went through the same worries. Struggle isn't always visible, but it's there. Next, I wanted to look at coping struggles by occupation. I really expected huge differences. You know, I'm sure like those reading this, you might think that, okay, if you work a corporate job or if you're a business professional, you might have some money, you might have some comfortability. What is there to really struggle about, right? You can kind of get what you need. But when I did this chart and I looked at the numbers and looked at the data, it hit me that is definitely not true. A lot of people assume that money or employment type protects our mental health, but this chart clearly shows otherwise. Even those in structured roles with stable pay really struggle to cope. And students were hit exceptionally hard because they did not have the comfortability as some others. But regardless though, the margin between each occupation is so tight, and I hope that it shows that regardless of your neighbor next door having a backyard and front yard, and maybe you're in a studio, during this time, we're all just people just trying to live day by day. And I hope this chart makes people think about that. The longer you wait, the heavier it got. This one I hope is universal, regardless of age or income. The longer someone stayed in isolation, the more likely they were to report increased stress. When people stayed indoors 60 plus days, it wasn't just difficult, I'm sure it was emotionally draining. And I hope this chart clearly shows that the time in this situation didn't really heal. Like it kind of made things a bit worse, you know? But the good thing with time, days start, days end, nights come and go, time moves on, and we eventually got through this time. But I want us to take a look at the data and remember what we have been through and use it as motivation and encouragement to get through whatever challenges or darker days or whatever conflicts we may have ahead, and kind of think to ourselves, like, you know what, like, I did survive 7 days at home. Like, I did survive 30 days washing my cereal boxes before putting them in the cabinet. Like, I can get through whatever's coming my way, and kind of just use this information as motivation to keep pressing on. So, to me, this particular chart is the most important visuals of my project. Every circle you see here, honestly, is a representation of a person. It's not just a percentage or a data point, but really a lived experiences. And the cluster of circles represent people within the age brackets of 16 up to 30 and plus. And it identifies who was dealing with the struggles of the pandemic and mental health positively, and who wasn't. So the blue means they did not experience, well, they weren't experienced as heavy coping struggles, and the red means that they were. And as you can see, as the ages get a bit like older, as you can say, 30 and above, there was more people that actually experienced coping struggles with the pandemic. However, the blue dot still becomes a bit bigger as the age increase. What I'm trying to get at is that regardless of age, the margin of mental health and struggling was thinner and thinner. So whether you were 16 or 30, whether you were a corporate moneymaker or a student, everyone still struggled with the pandemic and still felt stressed and felt worried. Some coped and some didn't. Whether you're male or female, we were all human. And when I look at this chart, I don't just see data, I see it as a collective of shared experience. And I see it as a way to remind myself that no matter what walks of life we come from, that we're all human and that we all share similar experiences. And this was definitely an experience that we can reflect on and relate to. Throughout it all, though, we made it through. This wasn't just a historical blimp. The effects are still with us, and we're not as different from each other as you may think. But knowing that, that's powerful. It means we can listen better, support more, judge less. If we carry anything forward from this project and from that time, I hope it's empathy and caring for one another. And I hope we never forget how important it is to be human to one another and to just honestly take things one day at a time when we can. Again, my name is Abdul Johnson. I am in the BIA program with TripleTen. And thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you so much, Abdul. Seems like a lot of these projects we're able to get really personal in a great way. So that's always really nice to see. I think that is something that a lot of people don't expect when they think of the data piece. Is telling the story is kind of healing in a way, right? And telling the story of lots of folks. All right, so that is the team of one, Stress Less, with Abdul Johnson Royal. And our next and last team is going to be the Wellness Wizards. And that is a team of Monty Sitzman, Danny Cleveland, and Michael Austria.
Right here. Yeah. Okay. Oh, if it lets me. There we go. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Monty. I am part of the Wellness Wizards. I worked with Danny and Michael on the human age prediction data set. So we kind of tried to come up with a group hypothesis we could try to work around. So that was participants with a better physical health will show stronger cognitive function and mental well-being across all ages and genders. So, but there are a lot of variables in this data set in general. So that kind of deterred us a little bit from just focusing on those. So jumping into it here, our first chart is going to be showing the physical activity versus the age group and genders. So they are marked up in different colors here. So you have the middle age group is going to be orange, blue is in the older age group, green is in the younger age group. And if you notice, just in general, the younger age group has a low level across all physical activities. So they're not really doing much. Now, these thickness and bars are going to be the difference between the females and the males in each age group. So now, if we're looking at this, we can kind of tell that the higher numbers are going to be in the moderate physical activity section, with starting to lead with the middle age down to the older age group. And that may just be because they have some, life changes going on that they may need to focus more on their health and start getting active. So moving on, I wanted to kind of chart, still going by the age groups, middle, older, and young, the chronic diseases that were listed in the data set, which we had diabetes, heart disease, hypertension, and none, which would be considered healthy. And a large percent of the participants in the data set were healthy. So you can see a smaller percentage in each of these age groups had one of these three chronic diseases. Now, I wanted to map the physical markers that can really chart these. So these next up scatter plots are going to be comparing the healthy versus the groups who had these chronic diseases. So these orange markers here are going to be categorizing the heart disease participants, and these blue marks are going to be the healthy individuals. And you can see they're all kind of clustered around, which, I mean, is kind of showing me that despite the physical markers here, that if your numbers are in these areas, you may be at risk for heart disease. But the cutoff line for the body mass index is around 30, showing that about a quarter of the participants are at risk, if not at higher risk with what the level of their condition already is. And the size of these marks are going to be going off blood pressure. So the participants with a higher BP are going to have larger mark size versus some of these who have lower blood pressures on the left side of the cutoff at low risk. Now, moving on to diabetes is going to be the same concept here. So this is going to be red is going to be marking the participants who had diabetes, and blue going to be the healthy participants. And this is going to be versing the weight of these participants versus their blood sugar levels or blood glucose levels. And as you can see, the cutoff for that is at 126. So about half the participants are above the threshold here for at risk of diabetes, even though that a lot of the people who already have diabetes are below the threshold. That could mean that they are on top of it or are maintaining their levels. So now if we look at these vision mark sizes, they're going to be going off of vision sharpness, just because blindness or vision loss can be linked to diabetes. So I wanted to compare each of these participants and how their vision was linked, if it was poor vision linked to the diabetes itself, and I wanted to compare that to the healthy individuals and where all their vision marks were at. Now, going over to hypertension, you can kind of see a clear, steady rise. Now, this is going to be comparing the systolic BP, or the top number on the blood pressure, versus the age of the participants here. Now, the mark size is going to be going by the diastolic BP, which is the bottom number, and both numbers are important, but I wanted to be able to chart them out so you could see the differences in the numbers. So now, starting out at a young age, you can see that the participants who are younger are sitting at the underside of the hypertension cutoff, which is about 130 BP. But a large number of the participants, even as their lower age and steadily rise, their risk for hypertension gets greater as older they get, as their systolic and diastolic BP kind of continuously grows. So to kind of take away from this, I wanted to say that the physical markers that define these groups are important. So, high cholesterol at a given BMI flags heart disease. Elevated glucose at a given weight can distinguish diabetics from healthier individuals, and raised blood pressure at any individuals. So healthy BMI, normal blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, those consistently separate participants with chronic diseases from healthy peers across all ages and genders. Focusing on those kind of physical markers offers a clear strategy for a way to present these diseases and continue living a healthy life. And after that, I guess kind of wanted to give it to Danny.
Thanks, Monty. Let me get mine up here. Okay. So I wanted to look at lifestyle choices between men and women. And first here, we look at alcohol. The blue is frequent use, orange is never, and red is occasional. In many of the age groups, men drink more frequently than women. Women are more likely to never drink than men. And the peak drinking age for men is between about 29 and 56. Um, and then for women, it is 34 to 56. Smoking, it is more likely for older people from about 60 on up to either be former smokers or current. If people are going to quit, it's usually by the age of 60, and men are more likely to quit smoking than women are. Women are also more likely not to smoke than men. However, of the current population of smokers, there's more women than there are men. The other thing I looked at was cognitive levels. There's a couple things to note in here. The first thing is we really do know everything at 18 unless you smoke or drink. And then it's kind of all downhill from there because cognitive ability does go down as we age. And the second thing to note is men do start out with a little bit higher level in the middle to or younger to middle years, and then it kind of levels out. And then I compared alcohol use and smoking. The biggest factor, alcohol doesn't change too much, but smoking makes a big impact. So we'll go with current and former. And you can see the decline and the trend level there. And then, of course, the biggest factor is going to be, of course, both smoking and alcohol consumption. Oh, I guess I had that marked, so that's what it was showing. My key findings were, males make up the higher presence of drinkers in many age groups, females proportionally higher for never drinking. The primary drinking age is males mid-20s to mid-50s, females mid-30s to 50s. Then with smoking for both males and females, the older age groups, there's a history of smoking, either current or former. Former smokers increase significantly with age, particularly for agers 60 plus. And it's true for both sexes. It appears males are more likely to quit smoking. And then trends in smoking habits by gender and age fluctuate. However, the percentage of people that have never smoked seems constantly higher with females. And females make up the higher percentage of current smokers. Then with cognitive decline, cognitive function generally declines with age. Males tend to have a slightly higher level in younger to middle years. Overall rate of decline appears to be very, very similar for both males and females. For alcohol consumption, appears to have a slightly lower overall cognitive function level compared to non-drinkers. However, the rate of decline is very similar to baseline. Smoking has a significant negative impact on cognitive function. Individuals tend to have lower overall levels and a faster rate of decline. And then frequent alcohol and current smoking, the combination shows the lowest overall functions and most rapid decline in cognitive ability when compared to all other subgroups. And then I guess back to for Michael's.
Okay, here, let's see. All right, this is Monty again. I did not make this data. I'm just presenting it on behalf of our partner, Michael. He worked on a few different things with vision and hearing, and he worked on most of these with correlation between mental health. So his first couple charts here, get this out of the way, are going to be showing the vision loss numbers that are going to be in between each of these age groups, and the same so with middle, older, and the younger age groups. Now you can kind of see where their decibels are going to be lying in an average. So the higher the decibel means you have more hearing loss. So it kind of showing that the younger age group definitely has the better hearing as well, while the older age group is having a high decline in their ability to hear what's going on. Now it's the same with the vision bar down here. It's a little different. So maybe being that older people are getting bifocals and they're taking these tests with their glasses on. But it is kind of showing that the well, no, got that backwards. Young people do have higher, better vision, which would be expected. And as they get older, your vision kind of declines to where you would need those bifocals. Now with the middle age group, it kind of steadies out. You have like a really wide range. You're still within a high point of vision, but your vision is starting to decline down here at 0.2, and there's a wider average. And moving on to his next charts, he wanted to compare the mental health status of the counts and each of these age groups. So right here, you can see now in the middle age group, there were a higher amount of people who reported having good or fair mental health, and a low number of people who counted having poor quality of mental health. Now, if you move down to the older age, it's still the same here. There's a lot higher number for good quality of life, and it's still pretty high for fair. It's about the same for the middle age. Now, if you're looking at young age group, now there's a smaller number in each of these, probably because there was a smaller bracket of younger age participants, but maybe it's that they just can't quite understand their quality of life quite yet, maybe. Now, moving on to his alcohol consumption level, he wanted to chart the frequency of alcohol consumption amongst the age groups as well. So for middle, older, and young, you can see that it's pretty steady. You have a 9% percentage and for the middle and old, and a pretty low number down here for the young age group. Now, they did make up a large section of the data set. So about 15%, about a little under 15% for the middle age group didn't consume alcohol. A little over 15% for the older didn't consume alcohol, and a little under 10% didn't for the young. Now, occasional, these numbers kind of a little more average. Now you go from 12 to 14, and then 14 jumps right down to 7. And he did the same thing over here for the smoking patterns. So blue would represent current, orange is former, red is the never. And for the middle age group, there are about 10% who are current smokers, a little over 10.5% who haven't smoked, and about 15% who are former smokers. And the large chunks over here, when you're looking at between here and the middle age, they look pretty similar. But when you jump down to the young age group, there's only a 4.2% bracket where there are current smokers, a 7.4% bracket where they are former, and about 12% of them in general haven't tried smoking. All right. Okay, so these next charts here are still going to be going by the 3 age groups, and now going by the quality of mental health and the consumption of alcohol and the smoking patterns. So as you can kind of see within the middle age group, with the excellent mental health level, the levels of alcohol consumption are pretty low. You have 1.8% who don't, 1.5% who are frequenting it, and just under 2% who are occasionally. Now, as we kind of go down here through the qualities of mental health, these numbers kind of rise up until about fair, and at poor, they drop right back down. And it is pretty similar for the older age group as well, where you have excellent at 1.5, 2.5, and occasional 1.8. Now for good, you have 3.2 who are frequent, 5.7 who are none, 5.5 who are occasional drinkers. And then you get down here to the poor quality again, you have 1.4 who are frequent, 2.6 who don't, 2.3 who occasionally drink. Now for the young age bracket, these numbers are a little lower. So for excellent mental health, we have 0.8, 2.1, 0.8. Now, these things maybe would be frequently because some of these participants would be under the legal age of being able to consume alcohol. So that might be a factor to key into this. All right, now looking at the smoking patterns, you can kind of see is that a lot of the people with better mental health account for more of the former and or have never smoked. So if we look at the excellent mental health here, we have 0.8 who are in the young categories, current smokers, 2%, and the older category in a little one, 1.5. Now, this number kind of increases a little bit as we go down from the excellent, good to fair in all mental health categories. So if we go look at excellent, for example, and we look all the way down here at never. Now we have a 1.9% who are young, 1.5% who are middle age, 1.3% who have never smoked. So the percentages of smokers in the higher areas will definitely take up a good portion of the better excellent health. Okay, so his key findings here. So with hearing and vision, based on the data, older and middle-aged people have a harder time hearing compared to the younger people. Same thing with vision. Younger people tend to have better vision sharpness compared to the middle-aged and older age groups. And based on the data, many are reported to have good or fair mental health, and while majority of the people either have no or occasional alcohol consumption, and majority of the young people have never smoked, while middle-aged and older-aged people are currently or former smokers. Now, with the mental health effects, people with good and fair mental health account for none or occasional alcohol consumptions, as well as being a former smoker or have never smoked. People with more poor mental health are currently not smoking and or either drinking occasionally or not at all. Okay, so that was Michael's data presented to the best of my abilities. Hopefully it did some justice for it.
I think it was great. Really wonderful. Well done, guys. One of the questions that I think about a lot is the purpose behind the jams and the puddings is for you guys to really put those things into practice that you're learning. And so I'm curious if there is something that maybe stands out in the different sprints that you guys have learned where you were feeling really excited that you got a chance to use this in kind of that real world setting that we've set up here.
So with working with this one especially, like I had to go a lot. I wanted to work with something that had a lot of variables to compare. And while we were looking through the data sets, this one, the human age prediction, may not have had anything about life expectancy, but it had a lot of physical markers that we could compare in this. Versus my last one, there were a lot of components that we could really side by side and show different variables. So it was kind of nice to be able to have something with a large scope. And a lot of these terms I was new for. So my grandmother being a nurse for 20 years, I went and asked a lot of these medical terminologies, asking what was this? Hey, heart disease was that related to, high cholesterol? And she's like, no, this is, that is, but I had a great time working with this, and honestly putting this together kind of gave me some key views into what I have to keep track of in my own health to keep myself out of these red areas.
Yes, I definitely understand that. As I'm watching this, my mother is also watching the broadcast as she watches most all of them. And all I can think is, stop smoking, Mom. We're all on the call. This is the intervention. It's right there, all the data. So, but yeah. Danny, what about you? You've been in the program now. What jumps out in the sprints that you were excited to use?
Kind of just putting everything together. Both of them have finished the program and I'm not done yet. So for me too, it was great to hear some of their knowledge because Monty's great. He knows a ton. So that was great for me.
Oh,
To be able to
fantastic.
put a lot of it together.
No, it's really great because again, it's one of the things that when you get out there in the real world, you may be new on the team, but eventually you're not the new person, right? And so being able to transfer the knowledge from someone who's been there to someone who's brand new on the team, it's a great opportunity to practice that skill because it is definitely a skill. All right. Thank you so very much. That is Team Wellness Wizards, and that team is Monty Sitzman, Danny Cleveland, and Michael Austria. All right. And that is all from here. from all of us at TripleTen for the April BIA Code Pudding presentations. Thank you so much to all of you who are watching. Thank you so much to all the students who have put in the time and the effort and have the courage to really take a step out of their comfort zone and put themselves out here in front of all the other students and all of the YouTube watchers at home. As a reminder, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on our Discord, then you can go through and you can vote in the channels. If you're not a student of ours just yet and only watching on Discord, then you can go ahead and vote in the live chat right now or in the comment section if you're watching this later by recording. All of our results and our winners will be posted on Discord and socials by May 10th. I want to take a special minute to thank all of the people you don't see behind the screen that is helping to organize all of this for all of the students and all of you at home. So that would be Arena, Omar, Alyssa, Elena, Olivia, Dennis, Anastasia, and of course my cat Shark Vape. He's, got to be there. Thank you again to all the participants. And my name is Tiffany Hall. If you need to find me, you can find me at Tiffany Codes on Instagram. And you can probably find my cat Shark Bait starting an Only Pause channel to pay for his vet bills. Thanks y'all so much. Don't worry, Mom, I'll explain that joke later. Have a great weekend, y'all.